Hello, hello. Hope you guys are doing great. As always, I'm going to hop on my phone real quick and let's make sure that we are streaming live and that you guys can actually hear me and all the techie things are working. So, yes, we are absolutely live. If you are here with me live, please grant StreamYard permission so that I can see your name and pop into the comments and say hi. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments as well. I know there was a lot of buzz about this training. You guys are pretty excited about it because 1099s are something we all have to deal with. So it's super important to make sure that you guys are very informed. If you're new here, my name is Danae Wolf. I am a financial clarity coach and a profit strategist, which means that I help entrepreneurs like you increase their profits and decrease their stress by really understanding all the money things in your business. I want you to be able to take control of your finances so they can stop controlling you. And I believe that the best way to do that is through financial literacy. But I know that it can be very overwhelming and complex. So in my little corner of the internet, I really just try to simplify things and help give you guys step-by-step roadmaps of all the things that you have to do financially as an entrepreneur. So today's training is on 1099s and the infamous question of to give or not to give. I'm sure, unless you've been living under a rock, you guys have heard that it is 1099 season. So I am going to dive into this training explaining to you guys what a 1099 is, who needs it, and the easiest way to file them. So first, let's just start with talking about what is a 1099. All right. Now, in the comments over in our Facebook group, The Profit Factor, there were a couple of people who referred to it as the tattletale form. And some people were confused by that description, but I actually thought it was perfect. So, high level, what a 1099 is it's a form that you use to report any payments that you made to non-employees last year. Now, if we have a regular W-2 employee, right, our payroll company has all of those reportings and everything, and you don't really have to worry about that, especially if you have full service payroll. But if you are paying an independent contractor, you have to record what you pay them. And you then need to report that to the IRS. So the reason that people are referring to it as a tattletale form is because the IRS wants to make sure that everyone is reporting their income, right? Because that's how we get taxed, by reporting our income. We tell the IRS we made $50,000 this year, and the IRS tells us how much we owe them in taxes. So what happens is there are people who will run a business, collect money from you, and then not report what you paid them to the IRS. So the IRS says, all right, to protect ourselves, we are going to require that the person who paid the money out has to notify us. So let me give you guys a real life example. Let's say that you hire somebody to do your social media graphics, all right? That person may not report to the IRS how much you paid them last year. So it is now your responsibility to report it to the IRS. So this tattletale notion is because you're basically saying, hey, graphics designer, just because you are choosing not to report your income to the IRS doesn't mean you're going to get away with it, because I am legally bound to report it to the IRS. Now, in order to prepare your Form 1099, you are going to need what is called a W-9 from the independent contractors that you hire in your company. You can legit Google W-9, download the form right from the IRS. But what that does is give you the information on the independent contractor so that you can, number one, determine if they actually are owed a 1099, because not all contractors are going to be owed one. And you can also utilize the information on the W-9 in order to fill out the 1099 form. Now, there's a part two of filing 1099s that I find most people are not aware of. So the 1099 is a document that we send to the actual contractor. So let's go back to our graphics designer example. You would send your graphics designer a 1099 form. This way they have it for their records and they can sort of, if they're tracking their money, which hopefully they are, they can match it up to their records and be able to say, oh yeah, I did collect X amount of dollars from my client. In this case, you, the entrepreneur, would be the client. So you have to file the 1099 and send that to the contractor, but you also have to file a 1096 and report that to the IRS. You also have to file a form to the state. Now, if you are in the following states, Alaska, Florida, Illinois, Nevada, New Hampshire, New York, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming, you don't need to worry about this. All the other states, though, you're filing. So let's recap this, right? We're doing Form 1099. That's going out to the contractor, the person who did the work for us. And we're filing Form 1096 that is going to the IRS and potentially going to the state as well. Now, let's talk about which contractors we're going to have to do this for. So we are going to have to provide 1099s to any contractor that meets two requirements. Number one is we paid them more than $600 last year, and they have to be either a sole proprietor or an LLC. You do not need to send it to someone who elects to be taxed as a C Corp or an S Corp. So again, if you utilized an independent contractor to perform services in your business last year, number one, did you pay them more than $600? Number two, are they an LLC or sole proprietor? Those are the individuals that are going to require a 1099. And I'm really excited because I've got a pretty kick-ass graphic that I put together that I am going to pop up on the screen. And it's a decision tree that will walk you guys through it. Now, if you are listening to this live training on the podcast, please head on over to the show notes and you will be able to see the image of the decision tree. But it's really great. It asks you a series of questions and it's going to walk you through exactly what to do. But I want to make sure we really cover the basics right now in part one of this training. So again, you've hired somebody to perform services in your business. They are not on your W-2 payroll. You're paying them as a contractor. If you paid them more than $600 last year and they are an LLC or a sole proprietor, you have to file a 1099 for them. Now, when you collect the W-9 from them, you're going to be able to see if they're a sole proprietor or an LLC. If it says that they're an S Corp or a C Corp, don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything. There's another way you can get out of filing 1099s. If you paid the contractor with PayPal Business, or if you paid with a credit card, or if you paid with Venmo Business, you do not need to file the 1099. The reason being is that third-party merchant that you utilize to make the payment. So whether it's the credit card company or PayPal or Venmo Business, they are responsible for filing it. So if you never want to deal with 1099s, just always pay everybody through PayPal Business. You won't ever have to worry about it because the onus is put on the merchant. Now, really quickly, I want to give a little caveat here because I'm sure most of you have heard about the American Rescue Plan making changes to PayPal, Venmo, and there's been a lot of misinformation on the internet. talking about the implications and what it means. So I want to just set the record straight. All right. Essentially, what this new administration has done with the American Rescue Plan is said, starting for 2022, these third-party merchants, so something like PayPal, Venmo, their threshold for filing 1099s has changed. And let me give you a little bit of history as to why. So I just told you guys for last year's filings, if you paid somebody with PayPal, you do not need to file a 1099 for them because it's PayPal's responsibility. Well, in addition to that, PayPal only had to file if the person was paid a minimum of $20,000 with 200 transactions. So guess what that did? It caused a whole lot of income to not be reported. Because remember, the point of the 1099 is that tattletale form, right? We are telling the IRS, by the way, I paid John Doe $5,000 last year. In case he decides not to claim that on his income, I'm letting the IRS know. So you didn't have to do that, and you still don't have to do that if you paid somebody via PayPal or Venmo or credit card. But the problem was those merchants didn't have to do it unless they had been paid the $20,000. Your requirement as a business owner is to file for anybody who's 600 and above. So people who were getting paid via PayPal, the business owner wasn't issuing it because it's not our responsibility. But let's say they made under 20 grand, PayPal wasn't issuing it because it wasn't their responsibility. So all the American Rescue Plan has done is said, hey, the third-party merchants whose responsibility it is to file 1099s, they are now at the same threshold as the business owner. It is now $600. Now, the implications for you, if you're listening to this live and you're saying, I don't need to file 1099s for anyone, but I do receive 1099s, the implications for you are very simple. If you are someone who tracks your income and is honest with the IRS and 100% records all of your income and reports it, nothing has changed for you. Now, if you are someone who has told clients, pay me with PayPal so I don't have to report it, pay me with Venmo so I don't have to report it, the buck stops here with those shenanigans in 2022 because your income, $600 and above, is going to be reported. And the thought process with this is that people are now going to actually pay taxes. And I want to be clear, this American Rescue Plan didn't change the tax law in the sense of it's taxing you more all of a sudden. This is always what it was. You always are going to owe taxes on your income. The problem is many people were not reporting their income. So this should boost tax revenue because now everybody's income is going to be reported. So if you've always been being honest with the IRS and recording all your income, absolutely nothing has changed. Now, the next part I want to explain about 1099. So again, let's recap, guys, because I know this can be confusing. If you hired an independent contractor, okay, so what is an IC? What is an independent contractor? This is an individual who is working for you in your business who is not on payroll. You're not withholding taxes. You're not paying them through Gusto or ADP, all right? The next piece is they performed a service. They didn't give you a product, okay? So you don't need to say, oh, I bought, a calendar from some girl who sells calendars on Etsy. I better give her a 10. No, this is specifically for a service. So for me, I am a virtual CFO. I provide bookkeeping and analysis services to my clients every month. Yes, that was a shameless plug. Hit me in my DMs if you're interested. But for me, I'm a service. So my clients have to give me a 1099, right? I would fall under the qualifications. So you've got an independent contractor that you're paying for a service. You paid more than $600 last year, and you paid them via ACH, or maybe you wrote them a check, you did some type of a bank transfer. You're going to owe them a 1099. If you paid them with PayPal, or you paid with a credit card, or you paid with Venmo, you do not need to worry about this. And if the contractor is an S Corp or C Corp, you don't need to worry about this. And guys, how do we find out if they're an S Corp or a C Corp? From their W-9, which you should be collecting whenever you hire an independent contractor in your business. So moving on to the next component. When you decide this person has to file 1099, there are two 1099 forms. This was started for the tax year 2020. So this all launched last year. We're still using it this year. There's two forms. We've got our 1099 NEC. This is for non-employee compensation, which is currently defined as payments sent to individuals who are not on payroll, who are working for you on a contract basis on a project or assignment. So this is your social graphics girl, your social media girl. Maybe you've got a Facebook ads consultant. Maybe you've got a Google ads consultant, an SEO services consultant, right? All of you, I would say maybe the majority, right, of your 1099s that you're filing to your ICs are going to be the 1099 NEC. Now, the second component is the 1099 miscellaneous, MISC. This is what you would do if you have business rents that you're paying to a landlord. They're going to get the 1099 miss. If you have a lawyer that you've paid more than $600 last year who's not an S Corp or a C Corp, they're going to get the 1099 miscellaneous. And if you paid at least $10 in royalties, you also owe them a 1099 miscellaneous. So outside of a lawyer, royalties, or business rent, everyone else gets the 1099 NEC. Now, I want to dive into my graphics, but I want to put one other quick note on here, all right? If you are looking to file these yourself and you're not going to hire a professional to do it, I want to let you know that you cannot simply download a 1099 form off the IRS website. They basically make a long story short, they put these things through a scanner and you can't just print it off your computer. You need like the real document. I think it's red. You have to like order it online, okay? Or you can file it electronically. But I just want to give you guys a heads up. Don't just go online, print out a 1099 form and think you can use it, because the IRS will not accept that. Now, I am a big fan of either hiring someone like myself, another shameless plug, you can shoot me a DM and I can file these 1099s for you. Or I really suggest that you use a software such as Yearly, YEARLI. I believe I have something I can pop up on the bottom of the screen for that. Or you can even use a software called Track 1099. Now, I personally use Yearly. The reason I like Yearly is, if you remember at the beginning of this training, I told you there are states who require the filing. What's interesting about this is that a lot of electronic filing companies don't have the capability to file the state. Yearly lets you file the state and the IRS. So it's a one-stop shop. I'm a big fan. The software can be a little confusing. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I am happy to help. All right, so let's take a look. And I want to show you guys this decision tree that I made, because I think it will really help you out. So I am going to switch to this view. Perfect. So you guys can see right here, if we start at the top, right? Of course, we've got our infamous question, right? 1099, to give or not to give. That is the question. Had to, make it a little cheeky, because you guys know me, and I had to make sure it was nice and cute with all the colors. Again, if you guys are listening on the podcast, head on over to the show notes and you can see this image. But let's walk through this, right? So right at the top, we can see, what did you pay the vendor for, right? Vendor is another term for an independent contractor, right? Somebody who is not on your payroll, and you paid them for either business rent, you can see that right here, services, or royalties, all right? So now let's move down to the next line. Well, it's telling you if it's business rent, it's going to be Form 1099 miscellaneous. If it's services, it's going to be NEC. And if it is royalties, it's going to be miscellaneous. Now, the next tier says, did you pay them over $600 when it comes to the business rent or when it comes to the services? And then when it comes to the royalties, you can see it's $10, because that is what that cutoff and threshold is when it comes to royalties. Then it says, if you did not pay them over $600, you can follow this infographic and it tells you, don't give them a 1099, right? But if you did pay them more than $600, it takes us to this next question. How did you pay them? So right here, if you paid them business PayPal, business Venmo, no, you do not have to file a 1099. And the caveat to that is starting in 2022, the threshold for those merchants to be sending their 1099s is now $600. That's neither here nor there for you as the individual preparing your 1099s. But if you are listening to this live and you're like, my clients pay me on PayPal and PayPal sends me 1099s and I don't report all my income, you're going to be affected. Okay. Report your income. Just always report your income because we just want to be honest people, right? Karma people. So business PayPal, business Venmo, effective for 22. Now this isn't last year. So last year, if you didn't get 20,000 on PayPal paid to you, you're not going to get that 1099. But this year, as long as it's 600 or more, you're going to get it. But looking at this through the lens of you're the owner of the business trying to file your 1099s, don't sweat it about the people that you paid with business PayPal or business Venmo. If you paid them with a credit card, don't sweat it. You don't need to do it. Visa, MasterCard, whoever it is, they are going to send out these 1099s. If you paid them with a check or if you paid them with cash, debit, ACH, we move down to the next question. Is the person, okay, the independent contractor, are they taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp? If the answer is yes, you can see right here, don't give them a 1099. If the answer is no, do give them a 1099. And then I want to follow up on one more caveat here, okay? So if you paid an attorney, all right, for some reason they have the attorneys a little bit different here. You have to make sure that you do in fact give them a 1099, and I would sync up with the attorney and really make sure that you know exactly what it was for, because I've seen situations before where maybe you got an attorney who won a settlement for you, right? And the money they released was actually a settlement. So just get the breakdown so you know what was it for, their services. But go ahead and make sure that your attorney is getting your 1099. So this infographic, I'm going to get it on my Instagram. I am going to get it in the Facebook group. I'll send it out in this week's email. This is just something that honestly, guys, I use when I'm filing these. Remember, I told you guys you can hire me. Another shameless plug. Apparently, I'm trying to see how many I can get in on this live training. But remember, I said you guys can hire me. I use this. This is my guide for me to know whether or not, I need to issue the vendor a 1099. So definitely download this. You can just screenshot it right onto your phone and use it as your guide. Looks like we have a couple of questions here popping in. So somebody said, will this content be added to Profit Perfect, particularly the decision tree? So Profit Perfect, for those of you who don't know, is my signature program. Chastity is one of my students. Profit Perfect teaches you guys exactly what you need to know as an entrepreneur when it comes to all things finance, okay? It is not textbook accounting that your CPA learned in school, okay? This is entrepreneurial accounting. We completely demystify all the complex money things, break it down simplistically, and make sure you guys know exactly how to increase your profits and decrease your stress. So Chastity is asking if this is something that can be added to Profit Perfect, and absolutely, I will check into our resources tab and make sure this is in here. I know the 1099 lesson is, but this graphic would not be, because this graphic was finished maybe about an hour ago, because the one I have was not pretty. But shout out to my amazing VA, Joni, who went in and made this nice and pretty for you guys today. So somebody else is asking, what if you need to receive a 1099 and have not received it? Great question. So remember, the 1099 exists to be the tattletale form, right? So let's say you are an independent contractor, right? And you are waiting on your clients to give you 1099s. Well, the reality is a lot of business owners don't know how to do that, right? I mean, we're sitting here going on this live training today because I'm teaching you guys how to do it. But the chances are not a lot of people are going to follow through with this, right? So what you want to do to protect yourself, okay? You want to be meticulous about tracking all of your sales, all of your revenue, right? Because this is a live for a different day. And this is really what we talk about and break down over in Profit Perfect. But as an entrepreneur, all of your sales, you can essentially think of that as your gross revenue, right? You can think of that revenue. That's what's going to be delivered on the 1099. And then basically you have all of your deductions, which are your business expenses. And then the net of that is what you're going to owe taxes on. But the government wants to make sure that they're finding out that top line, that gross revenue. What was the sales generated by your business last year? If you are 100% reporting your revenue, okay, and I mean to the penny, right? You don't have anything to worry about, because essentially what will happen is, let's say you say to the IRS, last year I did $50,000 in sales, right? Now the IRS goes through your 1099s and it's only $30,000. Well, they're not going to sweat it because you're reporting more. So they're still getting their tax money, right? But let's say it was the opposite. Let's say you reported $30,000 in revenue, but yet $50,000 in 1099s was reported to the IRS. Well, now they're not pleased because it looks like you're underreporting your revenue, right? The IRS just wants to make sure they get paid. So at the end of the day, if you are meticulously reporting all of your revenue, you're fine. For me, I do not worry one bit about my 1099s because I know that I meticulously report every penny that comes through my business, right? So I would not worry about that at all. Now, if you are someone who does not meticulously record your finances in your business, then you do really want to start going through bank statements and you want to look at the 1099s because you want to make sure that you know what's going on, because you don't want to be in a situation where you reported to the IRS your revenue was 30K and they collect 1099s at 50K, because it could be you messed up and didn't record revenue right, or it could even be that one of your that like they reported the 1099 wrong, right? This is why having records is so important. If I have a client logged as paying me $5,000 and they tell the government they paid me 10, I'm going to get screwed, right? That's going to open up a can of worms for me. So this is another one of the many, many reasons why we always want to be meticulous with our financial records in our business. So I hope that this live training was really helpful. I hope that this infographic helps you. Guys, I'm so excited about it. I think it came out so cute. Once I get it posted, please share it on social. I would absolutely love that. And if you guys are here live, thank you. Please let me know in the comments. But if you are watching the replay, please write #replay, right? All of this helps my algorithm, right? It helps my algorithm, which helps me get in front of more entrepreneurs, which helps me have a bigger impact for my mission, which is to spread financial clarity and teach you guys how to make smart decisions in your business. These 1099s are going to be due January 31st. So I want you to make sure that you first go through everybody that you paid last year, right? Who did you pay more than $600? Now we've narrowed that group, right? What did you pay them for? Was it business, services, the royalties, right? Go through all of that and then say, all right, who's an LLC? Who's a sole prop? That's who you're responsible for. Who do you have W-9s for? If you don't have W-9s, contact them right away. I can tell you, as someone who does this day in and day out, they are not going to be shocked when you ask them for a W-9. In fact, if they're an organized entrepreneur, they should have it ready to roll right in their Google Drive, right in their Dropbox, whatever they live by. And they should say, I'll have it to you in 2 seconds, because you should probably be the upteenth person who has requested it from them, because 'tis the season for 1099s. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. Go ahead and tag me. You guys can reach me at the Chic CFO on Instagram. You can reach me in my Profit Factor Facebook group. And you guys can absolutely always send me a PM, Denai Wolf, Denai Wolf with an E on the end. I hope this training was useful. And I hope if you guys take anything away from this, I really just want you to know that it's not as complex as we think, right? Follow the decision tree, answer the questions. It will tell you exactly what to do. And then I just urge you to either hire a professional like myself, or go ahead and utilize a software such as yearly.com or Track99. Now, I will tell you that QuickBooks Online does it. And while I am a very big fan of QuickBooks Online, I don't love their 1099 service simply because they don't offer the state filing. But let me throw this in there real quick. It's been a couple years since I've asked them about that. Okay, I started utilizing Yearly when I realized they did the state, and QBO didn't. Maybe QBO now is doing it. I'm not sure, but that's why I personally use Yearly. Again, YEARLI.com, and I will go ahead and throw this up on the screen so you guys can see that. Any questions, again, pop it into the comments. Please share this infographic. Please share this training. I really just want to help entrepreneurs be really compliant and really just kind of take all of the guessing out of this stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys soon. Oh, looks like I was about to sign off. We've got another question from Scott. Hi, Scott. He says, do I have to get a W-9 form from the contractor if I'm choosing to pay them through PayPal, Venmo, businesses? Okay, so you are not going to be responsible for filing. So, removed myself from the live stream. You're not going to be responsible for filing it, Scott. So if you want to keep the W-9 on file, just in case something happens, you don't use PayPal, maybe something happens operationally and PayPal's down and you have to end up paying them via ACH or something, it's probably a good habit to have the W-9. But to be honest with you, I say it's a good habit to have the W-9. And right here, I'm sitting here emailing people now like, hey, I need your W-9. So don't stress about it. PayPal, Venmo, business, they're going to handle it for you. So I would not worry about that at all. And then someone else says, I use regular Venmo to pay my contractors. Do I still have to send out the 1099? So this is something that, again, the American Rescue Plan is cleaning up, right? So I think a lot of contractors were coming from a place of they thought, well, if I don't use PayPal Business or I don't use Venmo Business, my income isn't going to be reported, right? And again, that was because they had that threshold of $20,000. Now it's going to be $600, right? And it's going to be all of it. So all the people who were trying to, slide under the radar with that, they're not going to be able to anymore. But in regards for this year, to be honest, I got to look into that. Let me look into the Venmo personal and the PayPal personal for 2021. I know in 22, that threshold's there. You guys won't have to worry about it, but I will look into that right now and I will gladly pop that into the comments. And if you are listening over on the podcast, I will record a different piece of audio so that we can get that on there. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Any more questions, pop them in here and I will be answering them. Talk soon, guys.